4.2 Properties of Materials. Have you ever wondered why a tumbler is not made with a piece of cloth? Recall our experiments with pieces of cloth in Chapter 3 and also keep in mind that we generally use a tumbler to keep a liquid. Therefore, would it not be silly if we were to make a tumbler out of cloth? Figure 4.2. What we need for a tumbler is glass, plastics, metal or other such material that will hold water. Similarly, it would not be wise to use paper-like materials for cooking vessels. Here in figure 4.2, a cloth tumbler is shown which is not able to keep water in it, and the water keeps pouring out. We see then that we choose a material to make an object depending on its properties and the purpose for which the object is to be used. So, what are all the properties of materials that would be important for their usage? Some properties are discussed here. Appearance. Materials usually look different from each other. Wood looks very different from iron. Iron appears different from copper or aluminium. At the same time, there may be some similarities between iron, copper, and aluminium that are not there in wood. Activity 3. Collect small pieces of different materials: paper, cardboard, wood, copper wire, aluminium sheet, chalk. Do any of these appear shiny? Separate the shiny materials into a group. Now, observe as the teacher cuts each material into 2 pieces. And look at the freshly cut surface. As shown in figure 4.3. What do you notice? Does the freshly cut surface of some of these materials appear shiny? Include these objects also in the group of shiny materials. Do you notice such a shine or luster in the other materials? Cut them anyway as you can. Repeat this in the class with as many materials as possible and make a list of those with and without luster. Instead of cutting, you can rub the surface of material with sandpaper to see if it has luster. Figure 4.3 shows cutting pieces of materials to see if they have luster. Page 29. Materials that have such luster are usually metals. Iron, copper, aluminium, and gold are examples of metals. Some metals often lose their shine and appear dull because of the action of air and moisture on them. We therefore notice the luster only on their freshly cut surface. When you visit an ironsmith or a workshop, look out for freshly cut surfaces of metal rods to see if they have luster. Hardness. When you press different materials with your hands, some of them may be hard to compress, while others can be easily compressed. Take a metal key and try to scratch with it. The surface of a piece of wood, aluminium, a piece of stone, a nail, candle, chalk, any other material or object. You can easily scratch some materials, while some cannot be scratched so easily. Materials which can be compressed or scratched easily are called soft. While some other materials which are difficult to compress are called hard. For example, cotton or sponge is soft, while iron is hard. In appearance, materials can have different properties like luster, hardness, be rough or smooth. Can you think of other properties that describe the appearance of a material? Soluble or insoluble. Activity 4. Collect samples of some solid substances such as sugar, salt, chalk powder, sand and sawdust. Take 5 glasses or beakers. Fill each one of them about 2/3 with water. Add a small amount, a spoonful of sugar to the first glass, salt to the second, and similarly add small amounts of the other substances into the other glasses. Stir the contents of each of them with a spoon. Wait for a few minutes. Observe what happens to the substances added to water. Note your observations as shown in Table 4.3. Figure 4.4 shows what disappears and what doesn't. Table 4.3. Mixing different solid materials in water. There are two columns. One is for substance and the other for disappears in water or does not disappear. Salt disappears completely in water. Sugar. Substances like sugar, sand, chalk powder and sawdust. Complete this table by observing the activity. You will notice that some substances have completely disappeared or dissolved in water. We say that these substances are soluble in water. Other substances do not mix with water and do not disappear even after we stir for a long time. These substances are insoluble in water. Page 30. Water plays an important role in the functioning of our body because it can dissolve a large number of substances. Do liquids also dissolve in water? Activity 5. Collect samples of vinegar, lemon juice, mustard oil or coconut oil, kerosene or any other liquid. Take a glass tumbler, fill it up to half with water. Add a few spoonfuls of one liquid to this and stir it well. Let it stand for 5 minutes. Observe whether the liquid mixes with water. Figure 4.5. Repeat the same with other liquids, as many different liquids as are available to you. Write your observations in Table 4.4. Figure 4.5a shows some liquids mix well with water, while Figure 4.5b shows some others do not. Table 4.4. Solubility of some common liquids in water. There are two columns, one for liquid and the other for mixes well or does not mix. Vinegar mixes well. Lemon juice, mustard oil, coconut oil, kerosene. These are left for you. Observe the activity and complete the table. We notice that some liquids get completely mixed with water. Some others do not mix with water and form a separate layer when kept aside for some time. Bujo suggests that we also check if the liquids that we used in Activity 5 mix well with some liquid other than water. Paheli is curious to know whether gases also dissolve in water. Some gases are soluble in water, whereas others are not. Water usually has small quantities of some gases dissolved in it. For example, oxygen gas dissolved in water is very important for the survival of animals and plants that live in water. Objects may float or sink in water. While doing Activity 4, you might have noticed that the insoluble solids separated out from water. You may have also noticed this with some liquids in Activity 5. Some of these materials that did not mix with water floated to the surface of water. Others may have sunk to the bottom of the tumbler, right? We notice many examples of objects that float in water or sink. Figure 4.6. Dried leaves fallen on the surface of a pond. A stone that you throw into this pond. Few drops of honey that you let fall into a glass of water. What happens to all of these? Page 31. Figure 4.6 shows some objects float in water while others sink in it. Bujo would like you to give him 5 examples each of objects that float and those that sink in water. What about testing these same materials to see if they float or sink in other liquids like oil? Transparency. You might have played the game of hide and seek. Think of some places where you would like to hide so that you are not seen by others. Why did you choose those places? Would you have tried to hide behind a glass window? Obviously not, as your friends can see through that and spot you. Can you see through all the materials? Those substances or materials through which things can be seen are called transparent. Figure 4.7, which shows looking through opaque, transparent or translucent material. Glass, water, air and some plastics are examples of transparent materials. Shopkeepers usually prefer to keep biscuits, sweets and other eatables in transparent containers of glass or plastic. So that buyers can easily see these items, as shown in figure 4.8. On the other hand, there are some materials through which you are not able to see. These materials are called opaque. You cannot tell what is kept in a closed wooden box, a cardboard carton, or a metal container. Wood, cardboard, and metals are examples of opaque materials. Do we find that we can group all materials and objects without any confusion as either opaque or transparent? Figure 4.8 shows transparent bottles in a shop. Activity 6. Take a sheet of paper and look through it towards a lighted bulb. Make a note of your observation. Now put 2-3 drops of some oil and spread it on the sheet of paper. Page 32. Look again towards the lighted bulb through that portion of the paper on which the oil has been spread. Do you find that the bulb is more clearly visible than before? But can you see clearly through the oiled paper? Is everything on the other side of it visible? Perhaps not. The materials through which objects can be seen but not clearly are known as translucent. Remember the oily patch on paper when we tested food items for presence of fats? That was translucent too. Can you think of some more examples of translucent materials? We can therefore group materials as opaque, transparent and translucent. Paheli suggests covering the glass of a torch with your palm at a dark place. Switch on the torch and observe the other side of the palm. She wants to know whether palm of your hand is opaque, transparent or translucent. Figure 4.9 shows Does torchlight pass through your palm? We learnt that materials differ in their appearance and the way they mix in water or other liquids. They may float or sink in water or may be transparent, opaque or translucent. Materials can be grouped on the basis of similarities or differences in their properties. Why do we need to group materials? In everyday life, we often group materials for our convenience. At home, we usually store things in such a manner that similar objects are placed together. Such an arrangement helps us to locate them easily. Similarly, a grocer usually keeps all type of biscuits at one corner of his shop, all soaps at another, while grains and pulses are stored at some other place. There is another reason why we find such grouping useful. Dividing materials in groups makes it convenient to study their properties and also observe any patterns in these properties. We will study more about this in higher classes. Keywords: hard, insoluble, luster, material, metals, opaque, rough, soluble, translucent, transparent, Page 33. Summary. Objects around us are made up of a large variety of materials. A given material could be used to make a large number of objects. It is also possible that an object could be made of a single material or of many different types of materials. different types of materials have different properties. Some materials are shiny in appearance while others are not. Some are rough, some smooth. Similarly, some materials are hard, whereas some others are soft. Some materials are soluble in water, whereas some others are insoluble. Some materials such as glass are transparent and some others such as wood and metals are opaque. Some materials are translucent. Materials are grouped together on the basis of similarities and differences in their properties. Things are grouped together for convenience and to study their properties. Exercises. 1. Name 5 objects which can be made from wood. 2. Select those objects from the following which shine. Glass bowl, plastic toy, steel spoon, cotton shirt. 3. Match the objects given below with the materials from which they could be made. Remember, an object could be made from more than one material and a given material could be used for making many objects. Here is a table. Objects are book, tumbler, chair, toy, shoes. And materials are glass, wood, paper, leather, plastics. 4. State whether the statements given below are true or false. 1. Stone is transparent while glass is opaque. 2. A notebook has luster while eraser does not. 3. Chalk dissolves in water. 4. A piece of wood floats on water. Page 34. 5. Sugar does not dissolve in water. 6. Oil mixes with water. 7. Sand settles down in water. 8. Vinegar dissolves in water. 5. Given below are the names of some objects and materials. Water, basketball, orange, sugar, globe, apple, and earthen pitcher. Group them as A. Round-shaped and other shapes. B. Eatables and non-eatables. 6. List all items known to you that float on water. Check and see if they will float on an oil or kerosene. 7. Find the odd one out from the following. A. Chair, bed, table, baby, cupboard. B. Rose, jasmine, boat, marigold, lotus. C. Aluminium, iron, copper, silver, sand. D. Sugar, salt, sand, copper sulfate.